Hello artists, so today is a good day because I can finally start telling people to stop posting dark jokes on my rejection videos. Yes, I finally got a place at the Royal Drawing School for their postgraduate program, the drawing year. In this video, I'm going to go through my portfolio and in particular my sketchbook practice, which is what I believe was a big part of me getting the place. The first thing I have to say is personally, I don't actually believe my portfolio was very strong. That is in comparison to the sketchbooks I submitted, and this was partly because I was trying to navigate new mediums I had never worked with before. I had also just finished the drawing intensive, so I had a load of work from the drawing intensive where I now needed to take that content and start translating it into my own practice, but I didn't have much time, which was between maybe the end of March and April, which is when the deadline was for application. One thing I did do in this portfolio was submit a couple of the old works from my rejected portfolio last year to actually show the difference between my old work and my new work. But before I go into my own portfolio in more depth, I just wanted to give an insight into how differently I approached the portfolio this year. First of all, the majority of my portfolio work was all made within about a month. That being from the end of March after I came out of the intensive to the portfolio deadline at the end of April. Last year, my portfolio basically consisted of drawings and paintings that were all just shallow contemporary twists of Renaissance imagery, and I had absolutely no real sketchbook practice whatsoever. Simply some basic pen studies that I had thrown into submission alongside some loose drawings stuck in a sketchbook. Not a good idea. This year, I have to admit that the portfolio kind of preparation was a real struggle for me. Since the new year, I've actually been really battling with my artistic practice. I felt like my process was really predictable, unoriginal, and like shallow, I guess. And it made me disgusted to even put a paintbrush to the canvas. I'd become too caught up in building what I thought was a marketable style. I'd actually lost the essence and energy of what being an artist truly was, which I also don't think is an easy question to answer either, but it certainly isn't what I was doing last year. I think the struggle of trying to reset the way I work alongside attempting new unfamiliar mediums really shows in the portfolio I submitted. It feels to me a bit mixed up and unsure of itself. As I was making different drawings and paintings, I failed a lot, destroyed a lot, and at times I was so mad at myself, I just wanted to burn everything. But I kept going and really found direction in my sketchbooks, where on one hand, my observational work was an easy way to calm down and just study what was in front of me. And on the other hand, the gouache pieces in my other sketchbook really made me feel like I was capable of producing some stronger imagery on my own. Taking a closer look at my gouache sketchbooks, I ended up with almost 3 by the time my interview came around, and you can see how much I really developed when it came to both handling the medium and also my image making. Come September, when I get around to starting the drawing year, I think gouache is definitely going to be one of my go-to mediums and will have a massive influence on my oil painting going forward. There was also a small window of time between the application deadline and the interview date where I managed to produce a little bit more work. And then for the interview, I was also encouraged to bring in work which probably gave a better insight into what I was capable of doing. For those who do manage to get an interview at the drawing year and you're looking for some kind of super secret interview advice, there isn't any, I'm telling you. The interview is 15 minutes long and it honestly feels like 5 minutes. Your work is going to be spread out on a massive table and just be prepared to talk about it. And of course, remember what you bloody wrote in your personal statement. That will also come in handy. For those interested in the context for some of my portfolio work, I was mainly working from mythological themes and narratives that I have been listening to throughout the year, and really in quite an instinctive way just creating imagery that somehow felt interesting to me. At times this involved taking observational drawings or smaller gouache works and translating them through the mythological lens into new paintings or drawings. Some of the work I've shown so far was heavily influenced by the story of Narcissus, but I've also been drawn to other literature outside of the Greek canon, such as Journey to the West, which is an extremely popular text I was introduced to in China that follows the story of the Monkey King and his travels. While working with these rather mysterious and magical themes, I was drawn towards ideas surrounding portals, doorways, windows, and forms of entries into otherworldly spaces that you can see continuously pop up throughout my sketchbooks and portfolio work. I plan to continue in this direction, working mostly in the context of the landscape, and maybe later on begin to suggest the presence of something, whether that be a person or creature, I guess we'll see. As I mentioned earlier, the drawing intensive, which was the 3-month course I did at the Royal Drawing School, had a massive influence on the development of my practice. And I of course also interacted with a lot of Royal Drawing School staff, which probably helped my application too. So click here to see how I developed on the drawing intensive, and here is my awkward goodbye.